What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about both talking to a recruiter and Meps. So what goes down at Meps? If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get started. First, I know how intimidating it can be if you are planning on enlisting but you're too scared to go to a recruiter. You don't know how the whole process works. It can be very intimidating. So the reason I'm making this video is to kind of explain how everything works. Going to the recruiter is going to be the first step to see, first of all, which branch you want to join, which branch has like the best options for you. They give you all of the information that you'll need to enlist. First of all, you'll have to see if you're qualified, and that's where the whole process starts. If you are nervous about going to a recruiter for the first time, I recommend doing your own research first. So get online, literally just Google things about different branches. Like, what does this branch offer? What jobs does this branch have? Kind of get your own knowledge before you step foot in a recruiter's office. A recruiter's job is to basically get recruits, right? They don't always have the best interest in mind, and that's just my personal opinion. I think it's important that you have your own knowledge about the different branches before you go into the office. After you kind of get your own knowledge about the branches, you should have a little bit of an idea of which branch you want to enlist to. Even with your own knowledge, going to a recruiter can be stressful. When you're kind of just walking into an office and you're like, hey, I want to enlist, and they look at you like you're crazy. So number one, get your own knowledge, kind of learn about the different branches or the branch that you know you're enlisting to. Two, I would say, you just gotta get it in you to walk in that office, let them know you want to enlist, let them know what you want as far as job. If they say that they don't have that option, or they don't have that job for you, or maybe they think it's not the right fit, you can go to every single branch and talk to them and see which branch fits you the best. Take down a notepad and write down at least maybe 5 or 10 questions that you want to ask the recruiter. Have like this set plan in your head. You go in the office, you know what you want. You're asking them the questions that you wrote down, and make sure you get all of the answers that you need. Joining the military isn't just a quick decision, it's 4 or more years of your life. So ask the questions you need to, figure out which branch is best for you, and go from there. Okay, next we're gonna talk about Meps. So I had no idea what Meps was before I went to the recruiting office. Meps is the military entrance processing. So to summarize what Meps is, it's the place where you go to take your ASVAB. It's also the place you go for all of your physical exams to see if you are qualified or disqualified from enlisting into the military. Meps is also the place you'll go to right before you ship off to boot camp. It's where they get the ball rolling. You have to pass Meps in order to enlist into the military. When you first go into your recruiter, they are going to ask about your medical history, your police involvement, anything that could potentially disqualify you from the military. It is your recruiter's job to know all of this information before you get sent up to Meps. A recruiter did a background check, got everything that came up. He tells you if he thinks that you were basically qualified or disqualified. Your recruiter basically does all of that work already. So when you go to Meps, it's going to be asking you about all of that information again. You get done talking to your recruiter and he gives you, the okay that you're pre-qualified, I'll say that. It's time to plan your first trip to Meps. I say first trip because I went to Meps a total of 3 times due to, some medical history that came up, some police involvement, all that stuff. They'll set you up on a day to go to Meps. I believe you can either drive yourself or you can take the shuttle from your recruiter's office. I took the shuttle there, and the shuttle driver walks you in, you go to the front desk, they assign you your hotel room. You are gonna be staying in a hotel overnight. That way you can wake up at I believe it's 4 a.m. and you take a bus to Meps with everyone else that's there. I did hear that with COVID, you have to stay in your hotel room all night unless you're going down to get dinner. But you get to the hotel and you're basically just waiting there and sleeping there until the next morning when you guys get on the bus and go to Meps. I believe wake up call was at 4 a.m. so they call the phone in the hotel room. Since you don't have a roommate, this rule doesn't exist, but when I was there, if your roommate woke up first, she was obligated to wake you up. So you go downstairs by 4:30, and that's where you're gonna eat breakfast and then get in line to go on the bus to Meps. You go to Meps, you'll line up before you go inside the building, and when you get inside the building, there's gonna be a whole security thing, kind of like the airport. Like, taking off your belt, your shoes, metal detectors, making sure you don't have anything on you. The liaison there actually took my phone as well, so he had my phone the whole day. It gets real when you arrive at Meps because everyone, at least at the Meps station I went to, was prior military. So it's yes sir, yes ma'am. Our bus driver was yelling. As soon as you get to Meps, it's kind of like a, oh shit, I'm here. Once you get into Meps, they'll take your fingerprint, and your fingerprint is basically going to be how you identify yourself the whole day at Meps. So every time you go to a different section of Meps, you'll use your fingerprint, and that's how they know it's you. Not forget to bring your social security card and your ID with you to Meps. The first thing that I did when I got to Meps was me and all of the other kids that were going into the Marine Corps went into our liaison's office, and we got the first end of the spiel that they give you. Now this spiel is basically saying that you must disclose all medical history and all prior police involvement while you're there. Basically, don't lie. And the key thing to remember during this whole process is you need to stick to what is in your paperwork from your recruiter. I'm not saying lie. What I'm saying is when you go to your recruiter the first time, you need to disclose everything because you cannot change your story up at Meps. If they find something else that you forgot to mention, they can easily disqualify you or send you home. The next thing that my group did was we went into this classroom type room and we took turns taking our blood pressure. Don't be that person that at breakfast that morning you wanted tons of coffee and caffeine and all this stuff, because your blood pressure could easily say abnormal, and then you're done with Meps for the day because you got to figure out why your blood pressure is abnormal. Just drink water while you're at Meps. You don't want to screw anything up when you're at Meps. You want the whole process to run smoothly, and if you get sent home at the very beginning because your blood pressure was abnormal due to caffeine or something like that, you're gonna be so mad. Next thing we did was start filling out a bunch of paperwork. Now, your recruiter is going to prep you about all of this stuff, but basically the paperwork you start filling out in that room is all of the paperwork you went over with your recruiter about your medical history and police involvement. So those papers, when you fill them out, should match the paperwork that your recruiter sent up about your medical history and your police involvement. You catch the drift? Okay. I also got a paper regarding any scars or tattoos that we have, and you need to disclose all of this information. The reason being, you know, if you're trying to hide a tattoo that's on your butt cheek or somewhere that you can't see with clothes on, they're gonna see it anyways, because later on in Meps, you have an exam where the doctor is literally putting a flashlight against, you know, your whole body, making sure you don't have any like self-harm scars or tattoos you didn't disclose. So you need to be sure that you disclose any and all information on these forms. I was sent down to take my ASVAB. This was the first time I've ever taken my actual ASVAB. You know, you take the practice ASVAB in your recruiter's office and they give you some tools to study with, but you go to Meps the first time and you haven't taken your ASVAB, you're gonna be taking your ASVAB that day. The ASVAB consists of 9 categories, okay? First category being arithmetic reasoning, assembly and objects, auto and shop information, electronics information, general science, math, mechanical comprehension, paragraph comprehension, and word knowledge. I recommend taking your time throughout your ASVAB. Some things I did to study prior to taking my ASVAB, I went to Barnes & Noble. I grabbed the book ASVAB for Dummies. Every week I would spend a few hours at Barnes & Noble reading the ASVAB for Dummies, and it really helped me. I ended up getting a pretty good score. Just do not rush. The ASVAB is very important because it determines what jobs you're qualified for. So just remember that, take your time, don't rush, make sure you study before, and you should be fine. Make sure you study the categories that you might not be the strongest at. So I wish I would have studied the auto shop questions, the assembly and objects, and the electrical category. I should have studied those because when I got to that portion of the ASVAB, I was lost. I had no idea what was going on. The person there gave me my score, and then the next part of Meps that I went to was the medical part. Very long process. Your physical examination at Meps is for everything. So especially if you had, you know, prior medical history, like surgeries or things like that, it might take a little longer. This physical examination is to check every single part of your body. The first thing I did during the medical portion was my piss test. It's a urine test to see if you have any drugs in your system. And for females, they're testing you as well to see if you could be pregnant. Yes, someone's watching the whole time. Is it uncomfortable? wasn't bad for me. For my pee test, I got my blood taken. So they do put a little needle in your finger, they'll take your blood, and then after that I went on to the hearing portion. But for the hearing portion, it's not something to be stressed out about. You know, in elementary school you took little hearing tests, it's like that. You go into this little room, you might be alone because of COVID, you put on the headset, you have your little button clickers, and you're gonna listen for the beeps. They're just making sure you don't have any hearing problems. So you go into the little room, and every time you hear a beep, you'll click. It's just like a normal hearing test, and then she'll basically tell you if you passed or failed. We went to the vision portion, so it's a vision test. They're gonna test if you're colorblind, and they're gonna test, for me, they did my depth perception as well. Now, I wear contacts. So I actually brought my contact case and some like a little travel size contact solution with me to Meps that morning. So I had it at all times. They will have you take your contacts out if you're wearing them before this whole vision test. If you do have glasses, to just wear your glasses. That way it's easier. You don't have to carry your contacts and contact solution with you. Just wear your glasses, that way when you get to the vision portion, you can just take them off and take your vision test. The depth perception part was basically like, there were 6 circles in line, and she was asking me if I could see which circles were kind of popping out more. Now, I don't know how I passed that one, but I passed it. The vision test is nothing to stress over. If you do happen to be somewhat colorblind, it could disqualify you from certain jobs. But other than that, it's really nothing to worry about. After my PE test, hearing, and vision, I went to the interview portion of Meps. This is basically where you're in a room with a doctor and they're going over the whole package that your recruiter sent up. So they're asking you about police involvement, they're asking you about your medical history. They're basically trying to see if you're gonna come up with anything that you didn't tell your recruiter. So like I said, stick with what's on the paper. This interview is going to basically drill you about your police involvement and medical history. So she'll be like, oh, how long have you been wearing glasses or contacts? Oh, when you got caught shoplifting, for instance, what were the consequences? Did you pay a fine? Were you on probation? She's basically going into detail about everything that's already in your package. She's gonna go over all of your medical history, so ask you about any surgeries you had, if you still have any problems with those things. There is waivers for things, so if you were on ADHD medicine in 3rd grade, you can get a waiver for that. So it's not like you have to lie. The interview portion is basically just her going over your whole package with you and making sure everything you say matches up with what's in your package. Orthopedic room. So this is where you basically go into a wide open room with all of the other females, or a group of females, I don't know about with COVID. You are stripping down to your underwear and bra. For females, wear granny panties. Don't wear a thong to Meps. Make sure you're wearing granny panties or maybe like little spandex. Wear a normal sports bra. They're gonna start taking everyone's height and weight. For whatever branch you're listening to, have to be within the height and weight standards. So there were some girls there when I went that were trying to make weight, so they didn't eat dinner at the hotel the night before. They were stressing out if they were gonna make weight or not, because if you don't, you're basically done with Meps for the day and you have to come back and hope that you're in weight next time. There's a way you can still pass height and weight. So if you qualify for the measurements, but say you're a little bit over the weight, you could still technically pass that portion. You guys are all going to do some exercises. So they had you do like wrist flips, they had you do like arm circles to make sure your shoulders are good. They'll have you do different kicks with your legs, look and see if you have any scars, something like that. It's basically a physical examination to make sure you're good to go for boot camp. It's also where you'll do the duck walk. Duck walk is the infamous exercise for Meps. I'm gonna post up a little clip of the duck walk up here because I'm not doing the duck walk right now, okay? But yes, you're doing the duck walk in your bra and underwear. Weirdly speed walk, half naked across the room. I don't know what that's for. After that, she'll tell you guys to put on a gown. And the next part is going into the office with another doctor individually. And that's kind of the final physical examination for your day at Meps. Females, probably males, I'm not sure, have to take off your underwear and basically get completely naked, and she's going to do an exam on you. So, you know, to make sure everything's Gucci down there. I've heard that males have to get their butthole touched. I don't know, but we didn't have to do that. She just is checking down there, making sure everything is good. At this part, this is where the doctor will take the flashlight and literally like run it across your body. Make sure you don't have any like self-harm scars or things like that. Not that bad, I promise you. The group, if you guys even go in a group with COVID still, where you're half naked or whatever, it's really not that bad. Everyone has to do it. It's kind of embarrassing and funny, I don't know. Just get it over with. When you're in the office with that doctor, like that last final physical examination, it's gonna let you know if you are qualified or disqualified. For me, I was disqualified the first time because I had some scars that were questionable and I had to end up going back to Meps. But that's the room where, you know, it's like the last moment of Meps. Like, am I qualified? Am I disqualified? It's either a good moment or a bad moment for some people, depending on how the whole day went. I wanted to add one last thing. So after I got done with the whole medical portion, the Marine liaison there did have us do like a mini PT test. How many pull-ups can you do? How many crunches? How many push-ups if you can't do pull-ups? Kind of see where you're at and let you know what you need to work on. If you do not qualify, you'll go back to your recruiter, go over some more information, see if there's a waiver you can get, and then you'll get sent back up to Meps until you are qualified. If you get lucky and you qualify the first time you go to Meps, you go downstairs, they'll basically congratulate you. You will swear in for the first time ever. You can call your family or friends or whoever you want to watch you. I'm not sure if it's different with COVID, but they can watch you swear in. So you go back to your recruiter's office. That's when it gets exciting because you get your Poolie shirt if you're joining the Marine Corps, and you get to pick your job. And from that point, you're basically sworn into the Marine Corps. If you have some more questions, feel free to drop them below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.